Topic area number 6 is hair cutting, and this is a 20-minute section. The instructions that will actually, let me start with this one. Let me start off with what you need to have in your SCC manual. In your bag, you are going to need your shears and a razor. They just need to be in the bag. I know that your shears and your razors are expensive, and I know that you want them in a case, but at the PSI training, they said to bring as little as possible with you, nothing extra. So just have your scissors and your razor in that bag. You will need a cutting cape at this point if you wanted to use an all-purpose cape so that you could use this for the duration of the services for the rest of the exam. It could be an all-purpose cape. My recommendation for you would be to get a children's sized all-purpose cape. That way it fits around the mannequin better. It doesn't drape all the way down into the floor because I could potentially struggle with that during this because I have a regular cape that I'm going to be using. You will need a neck strip, and you will need 4 or 5 clips and a hair cutting comb. So if it's going to be better for you to have your clips and your combs in every bag, that is completely okay. But it is also completely okay that at this point you have a gallon-sized Ziploc baggie that has clips and combs in it that you're going to be getting out of for the rest of the test as well, that you would just be leaving out with the rest of your general supplies. And that personally is what works better for my brain, but whichever way it works better for you, definitely do it that way. On that one, there's not a wrong or a right. For preparing for the haircut, you're going to sanitize your hands, remove the items from the bag, place the bag in the single-use bag, place the neck strip and the cutting cape on the mannequin, perform a hair and scalp analysis, and section the mannequin for the haircut. The instructions that they will read to you are: this evaluation is haircutting. 5 minutes will be provided to set up your haircutting station and prepare your client for a haircut. The proctor will announce when there are 2 minutes left to finish. When you complete your tasks, please stand quietly. Start your preparation. Timing begins now. So that leads me to wanting to talk about the mannequin just a little bit. So I'm going to set her back up. So my mannequin has really clean hair. It's easy to comb through. I would make sure that you are taking a mannequin that has been shampooed. You don't want to take one that when you start wetting the hair down, it is going to tangle and cause more of a mess. So something else that I will mention at this point is a question that always gets asked at the PSI training is, what happens if the mannequin falls off of the stand and falls into the floor? Do I disinfect the mannequin? Do I disinfect the stand? What do I do? And if the head hits the floor, that's fine, but your cape better not unless you have another one. So if your cape hits the floor, then you would be marked off if you continue to use that dirty cape for the rest of the services, or you would not have a cape for the rest of the services. So if that's something that you're worried about, if that's something that happens to you a lot, that your mannequin falls off of the stand, it may be worth having an extra cape in your kit in case that happens to you. For me, I feel like if my mannequin if something starts getting loosey-goosey, I'm gonna grab that cape and I'm gonna remove the cape and set it on my table, fix the stand, and then re-drape the mannequin to show that I'm not gonna drop this cape for anything. I do always like to cover that because that's one of those, it's one of those questions that gets asked every single time. But during the setup, let me go ahead and put my 5 minutes on my timer. During this portion, you can also wet the hair down. So I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to sanitize my hands, and I'm going to get my bag out of my kit. So there's my hair cutting stuff. So here is that extra bag of combs and clips that I'm gonna have out for the entire exam. I also still have my students take a mini broom and dustpan. I know that PSI said that you guys do not have to bring them anymore, that they have them available. But the feedback that I've gotten from our students that have went, have came back and said, if I wouldn't have had my broom and dustpan, it would have held up the test for a long time, waiting for that one broom to have been shared. I'm gonna sanitize my hands again before I get into this bag to get my clips out. So I am going to need 4 clips. Let's fill that back up. Put that right here. Next strip and clip. So I'm going to use one of the clips to get hair out of my way. And then I am going to put my next strip on. And then there's my drape. I was actually able to get this cape snug around the mannequin's neck, but that is not always the case with an adult size cape. So maybe if you have a regular cape, you just test it out and don't test it the day of your test. So now I am going to do my hair and scalp analysis. So I'm looking at the scalp. I'm checking for any cuts or abrasions, anything that I can't work on, anything that looks concerning. Everything looks good. So now I am going to go ahead and grab my comb and my water bottle, and I'm going to start preparing her for the haircut. And I'm going to just put her into a 4-part section. I've still got 20 seconds left. Let's see if I can make it. Well, I think I'm going to. Clip, put my comb down, and that is time. So the next section of hair cutting is this hair cutting evaluation requires the use of hair cutting with shears and a razor. Cut at least 1 inch of hair from the head. 5 minutes will be provided to cut hair with hair cutting shears, and you must cut hair with shears for the full 5 minutes. The proctor will direct you when to stop. Start the hair cutting with shears. Timing begins now. So I will sanitize my hands. Oh, I didn't start my timer. So start your timer, sanitize your hands, and then I am going to pick up my scissors and my comb, demonstrate that I know how to palm my shears safely, and then I am going to tilt my client's head forward. When I remove a clip, I'm just going to clip it somewhere else on to the mannequin instead of laying it down on the table. I did not get to wet this section down as much as I wanted to, so I'm going to do that now. I'll drop my first subsection. So what I'm doing here is just starting at 0 degree, wide teeth for sectioning, fine teeth for tension, and I'm just going to remove that 1 inch on my first cut so that without a shadow of a doubt, they know that I have removed 1 full inch. Do not let that be something that you get hung up on, that you didn't remove enough hair. So make sure that you take a mannequin that has enough hair to remove at least 1 inch. There is not a specific haircut that they are requiring you to do. You can do whatever haircut you would like to do. So I'm starting out by just cutting the length, and then I am going to do a 90-degree haircut in this section. My mannequin has already been cut into a 90-degree haircut, so I don't have very much coming off with my 0 at this point. You are also demonstrating low, medium, and high elevation. So let me see if I can turn my mannequin towards the camera. Here we go. So I'm going to stand directly behind the area that I'm working in. Wide teeth for sectioning, fine teeth for tension. So I'm going to start at the bottom, find my guide, and then I'm removing. You can see I'm removing at least 1 inch of hair. So then I'm just going to walk this up at the widest point of the head. That is the transition point, the crest area. That's when I can pivot, stand to the side of what I'm cutting, and now I can cut on top of my knuckles. Okay, so same fashion, going to continue doing that 90-degree haircut. At this point, we are at the 2-minute mark where they would have said that you have 2 minutes remaining. And I'm making sure that I'm palming my shears correctly, that my elbows are up, that I have proper body position. That's what this test is about, is you need to be able to do this safely. You need to be able to do this safely for the public as well. Wide teeth. time. So when the timer goes off and they call time, you're just going to set your things down, sanitize your hands, and stop. Don't continue to work after the timer has been called. I am going to clean up this hair that's on my workstation. This hair wouldn't have been on my workstation, but I wanted to turn the mannequin around so that you guys could see what I was doing. And if you work in the back, because they don't tell you where to cut the hair, if you work in the back, the majority of the hair is going to fall on the floor, so you're not going to have a messy workstation. Clean all that up. Okay. And then you are going to be directed to cut the hair with a razor. The instructions are: this haircutting evaluation requires the use of haircutting with a razor. Cut at least 1 inch from the head. 5 minutes will be provided to cut the hair with a razor. You must cut hair with a razor for the full 5 minutes. The proctor will direct you when to stop. Start haircutting with a razor and timing begins now. So something else that I want to mention here is I have had feedback from students that said that they asked them to cut with the scissors for 10 minutes and then with the razors for 10 minutes. At that point, you are not in a situation to question what these proctors are asking of you. So if they ask you to cut hair for 20 minutes and cut hair for the full 20 minutes, just do what they say instead of correcting them. I'm sure somebody read a direction wrong, but if they say to cut hair with scissors for 10 minutes and then to cut hair with a razor for 10 minutes, then that's what you need to do. I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to sanitize my hands, and I'm going to pick up my comb and my razor. So it doesn't tell you to start in a new section. They don't give you that direction. So I am going to continue doing the same haircut, but now I'm going to do it with my razor. Let me move my mannequin over just a little bit. I'll move that clip. Now, what's different when cutting with a razor at medium elevation or at high elevation is you are going to have to use your thumb over the guard to then remove that hair. I can let that fall out. If you don't practice with your razors and at this point you look uncomfortable, that draws more attention to you. So I encourage you guys to practice with your razors so that you don't look awkward. This is one of those moments, again, when you are taking a test like this, you don't want to stand out, and somebody that looks uncomfortable with what they're doing is certainly going to stand out. I'm going to wet my section down. I'm going to do the same thing on this side and just make my 0 degree. I could have probably stood to have gotten a new razor too, if you guys can hear it. when you're cutting with your razor. You can also show some of the different texturizing techniques that you may use, where you raise up subsections of hair and create shorter lengths underneath. A lot of people do that to create volume. Or what I'm doing is showing how I would actually complete the entire haircut with a razor. Like before, in previous tests, it was the good old short, long was what you had to demonstrate with your razor, and that is no longer going to be good enough for this exam. So you have to demonstrate a little bit more than short, long. But you can still do that. But remember, you're about to wrap a perm on this mannequin too. So be mindful of the areas that you're cutting. That way you don't cut anything too shorter than, too short for the rods that you've brought for the chemical wave. And then there is our timer. I'm going to put my things down, sanitize my hands, and stop working. The last portion of this is to clean up after the haircut. So you have 5 minutes provided to clean off your haircutting workstation and sweep the floor. The proctor will announce when there are 2 minutes left to finish. When you complete your tasks, please stand quietly. You may start. Timing begins now. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my timer. First thing I'm gonna do, sanitize my hands, and I am going to get a paper towel to get all of the hair off of my workstation. My extra neck strip, I no longer need that, so I'm gonna throw it into single use. My comb, my scissors, and my razor are all gonna go into multi-use. And I am just sanitizing at this point, which means removing visible dirt and debris. I do not have to use any of my barbicide wipes at this point, because we are doing all of these demonstrations on the same client. So all of my hair is dusted off into the floor, and then these items are going into my multi-use bag, paper towels into my single-use bag, and then I'm going to use my broom and my dustpan to clean up my area down here. I still have 4 minutes, so that was quick. Everybody always asks where they put their broom in their dustpan, and in this situation I'm throwing it into my single use because it seems really dirty to throw it into the multi-use. So that's just what I would do, but you can definitely do whichever way you feel better. I just don't want all of that hair all over my stuff that I still want in my multi-use. Then I'm going to sanitize my hands and step back and indicate that I am done.